Good morning, everyone. How are you? As you can see, I am back for traditional Thursday with Mr. Bub. He's hungry, he wants to eat, and he wants me to feed him early, and that's just not going to happen. We all know how that goes. Not till 11 a.m., right? So no news is really good news. As many of you who've been following me on Twitter know that I got bit by a little bug yesterday and decided to finish up my, that batch of miniatures I'd been kind of sitting on. Not literally. I had painted them and then set them aside. And there they've sat ever since. For like a couple of months. So naturally I decided to go ahead and get them finished. I was going to be basing them, which means putting stuff on the little circular base to make them look like they were actually standing on terrain instead of a really crappily painted base. And they turned out pretty well. I ended up outside last night with the Mod Podge spray paint. I was taking sticky tack and pasting them to pieces of cardboard and holding them and then just hosing them down. So the paint and all that color and all that good stuff should be sealed right in. I'm just going to let them sit for today, and when I get back home from work, then I'll take them and I'll put them away. And I'll possibly begin basing the other ones I've already painted, which totals to about like 60 some odd miniatures. I'm probably going to be really taking a look and kind of planning what I'm going to do with them. Anyway, today I've got your Viking Oracle, I've got your Spirit Animal Oracle, we've got Celtic Tarot, and Angels and Ancestors. We're going to do kind of a small version, just a very small version of the ancestral reading that I love to do. It's one of my favorites. Just that kind of a theme there. You know, over this past week we have talked about stepping into that leadership role, being that leader you really wish you had. And you know, I saw something related to that this morning. Someone had posted a little meme. It says, why are you the forever DM? And for those of you who don't know what it is, that means why are you always the dungeon master or game master in any tabletop role-playing game. And the meme said, because anyone else would always get it wrong. And I think the more appropriate phrase would have been, they didn't trust anyone else to do it. They thought they had the best ideas, they thought they had the best everything, so they stepped in. Rather than having to settle under someone else, they stepped in and did it themselves. That's never a bad thing. That should always be celebrated. I'm going to turn the attention a little more toward the cards here. There we go. That is a person stepping into that leadership role. They are leading the entire game. They're writing the adventure or using one that's been published themselves. Nothing wrong with that. Not everybody can be a leader, but you can. You watching this right now, and by the way, welcome to our new subscribers. I know I got at least a small handful of them in the past couple days. And just to kind of bring you up to speed, every day is going to be a little themed. So you got Moonology Monday, Straight Tarot Tuesday, Runecasting Wednesday, Traditional Thursday, which is today, and tomorrow, Full Scale Friday, which will give you an idea of what a full reading looks like. I'll cover full readings and Will you stop eating my shoelaces? Stop it. He's so hungry he's trying to eat my shoelaces, like, no kidding. Dude. Bro, stop it. Enough. Lay down. Alright. Come here. There we go. Try to get him to sit down next to me, that way he quits trying to chew up my shoestrings. So, why don't we just get right down into it? I really do want to make this kind of short, sweet, and to the point, and I've rambled on long enough. So, let's start with you. Now, I know we have to find that balance between trusting the people to whom you delegate responsibility and taking it all on yourself. There has to be a balance. You can't do too much one way or you look lazy. And you can't go too much the other way. Otherwise, you'll look like a control freak. Because you're still trying to lead by example. So that's where you want to focus. And that is exactly what Scotty represents. Know who you are. Know what you're worth. Know when compromise is beneficial on all sides. And if it's not, then do not compromise. And the reason I say that is because if someone wants to call a compromise you coming completely over to them, then what do you have to gain from it? Compromise must mean meeting in the middle. What can you live with? You may need to offer compromises, but remember, it has to be mutually beneficial, or else it's not a compromise, that's a surrender. You know, yesterday we didn't really have a guide. This was where the gods, the universe, the cosmos, God, whatever you want to call it, kind of took a hands-off approach and said, no, I've guided you enough. Let's see what you can do. But today, being guided by Freya, and it's really appropriate that Freya comes in because she is going to be letting you know those things that you're passionate about. If you find yourself in a battle defending it, you can win those battles. You can win any battle you face. But remember something. Right now, the one thing you don't want to compromise is your love of one thing cannot be eclipsed by your absolute hatred of something else. Talking with someone yesterday about the movie Falling Down, we were trying to kind of establish really who's at fault here. Is it Bill Foster, aka Defense? Is it Prendergast? Because at the end of the movie, and this is a very old movie, I'm not giving anything away. I mean, seriously, if you haven't seen this movie by now, it's probably time. At the end of it, Bill Foster finds himself stunned that he's the bad guy. He followed all the rules. He did everything he was supposed to do, and the world just kind of moved on without him. The world kind of tossed him aside. Now, there's a point to be made that the world is at fault. The world grows increasingly more hostile, increasingly more violent, increasingly worse and worse as the years go by. However, I've always said this, you can't control the world. You can only control you. And Prendergast, even though he's a doormat for most of the movie, the one thing he didn't do was he didn't let the world break him. He understood. It's a crappy world out there. But he also understood he had to be the best he could be. He couldn't worry about what everyone else was doing. Even though it was the hostility was increasingly directed at him, so was the disrespect. The compromise between the two comes when Prendergast is talking to Foster's daughter, and he says, so what's your name? And she says, it's Casey. He's like, Casey, that's a good name. She goes, what's your name? He goes, oh, my name? It's Mud. She goes, your name's not Mud. He goes, oh, yes, it is. It will be when my wife finds out I'm still a cop, because he was on the last day of his job. He saw a future without purpose and what it could do to him, and he'd be just an ineffectual nothing wasting his life away. And he decided that wasn't for him. He decided. You can decide too. I know it's kind of long, but we're going to get to the rest of this. So, today, remember what I said, love is all around. Here's, going back to that falling down reference for just a minute. Bill Foster at the end does make a decision. And that decision was made because the love of his daughter eclipsed the resentment he had toward his wife and the hatred he had for the world around him. You got to be able to find this wherever it is. It may be a battle, but you can win that. And once you do, once that love of whatever it is you're passionate about eclipses all else, you're going to be very successful. So let's see what the cards have today. We do have a 5 of Wands in reverse. We've got Equilibrium or Temperance. And we have the Hangman. Let me tell you something. You don't have to fight everybody. You don't have to keep getting into sparring matches. That's not what it's about for you. Right now, a lot of us do. A lot of us have. A lot of us have been kind of like, we see something, we jump off. It's immediate. And sometimes we get that voice of reason out there. We don't really want to listen to it, but can't help it. And you know what? I listened to one of those voices of reason this morning. I've said my piece on what I've seen, and I'm done. Because really it is about equilibrium. And if you've been spending too much time one way or another, remember, Skadi is all about equilibrium. Everything must be beneficial. Right now you're looking at one of the biggest balance readings I have ever seen, and we're about to enter Libra season if we haven't already. I need to look at that again. But equilibrium, it's about everyone. It's about you benefiting, me benefiting, and we go forth. Maybe we don't get everything we want, but we just get what we need. And what we need can propel us forward farther than what we think. But it really is about finding, as much as Freya is the goddess of war, she's also a goddess of love, and we have to find that sense of peace. Now, whatever it is that brings you that peace, that's what you should focus on. Whatever it is you love that lights you up, that's what you should focus on. That's how you do it. Because when you do that, you can still lead assertively without being, you don't have to be a prick. As a matter of fact, an episode of Star Trek illustrated that, where Wesley really wanted some scans done, or some analysis done. And the guy he asked to do that said, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We've already done this, that, and the third. We already kind of know what the outcome will be. And later on, he was like, he had to come back to that guy, and he goes, hey, remember when I talked about those scans? I really would appreciate it if you would just do that for me. And the guy looked at him for a beat and went, sure, okay. And he went and did it. If you find someone that's just that touch resistant to something, you can be like, I understand, and I appreciate the feedback, but I really would appreciate it if you would just get that done for me. If we could do that, that would be great, and I thank you. When you lead out with something like that, bang, done, you've won. Guaranteed. Even if they just begrudgingly do it, they've still done it, right? So let's see, we've got a Fire Guardian right here. We've got a Seer, and we've got Autumn. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the very first day of September. The very first day. And already I'm seeing September, I'm seeing autumn creep in. Won't be long, ladies and gentlemen. But here's where you start. You have to start with igniting your passions, really getting into that thing that you're just all about. No matter where you are, no matter what's going on. Really kind of find yourself in that and find a way to apply it. Because the thing is, there are going to be things that try to distract you, and you don't have to be clairvoyant, but you do have to see past those current circumstances. You have to be able to see past the illusion. What's in front of you is not all. See past that current situation. Just see beyond it. I know you're looking at right here, right now, but you have to think a few steps down the road. In fact, I read a book a long time ago. It was a vampire novel called Lost Souls. I read this book. I was a huge fan of it. I loved it. Still do. But I realized something. Upon rereading it, every character in there never thought ahead. And that's why they were in the situations they were all respectively in. Autumn. The leaves are going to start turning. They're going to start falling. We're going to have to start blowing leaves out of the way, raking them up, throwing them into bags. But here's the thing. We are releasing the old. We're letting it go. The world now enters. The world around us is going to enter that period of rest. You're not going to have a whole bunch of people crazy from the heat anymore. And that's going to matter. Right? Things are going to begin to die off. Certain beings are going to go into hibernation. Let's cap off with the runes and get out of here. We've got Tiwaz. Oh wow, here we go. Ansus, here we are. Ramping up to Uruz. Tiwaz rune. A symbol of Tyr, the very god for which Tuesday was named. His other name is Tiw, T-I-W. He was also, at one point in time, he was the head of all the gods, and then he abdicated his leadership to Odin. He started a lot of wars. He took part in a lot of wars. And later he became the god of justice. Now let's move on to Ansus, where diplomacy fails. See, war doesn't really determine who's right or who's wrong, it just determines who's left. So get out of your war mode and go into communication. This is Othin's rune. It means literally breath. But when you can speak things into being. Takes some time, takes some effort. But once you speak it, it already exists. And then you can begin to work on it. But it is going to take a certain strength. This particular type of ox was very, very strong. But despite its strength, it's still extinct. But still, we can look to it and understand that strength does not mean that we're physically just going to take this table and, with one finger flip it over toward a car and make it go boom like a Marvel movie. It means that sometimes we have to stay strong enough to be calm when there's chaos around us. How do you do that? It's very simple. You find what matters to you most. You find what brings you peace, and you hold on to it. So, remember, today's really your day to kind of be a diplomat. it's better to be the warrior in the garden than the gardener in a war. I've said that before. It still applies now. You're going to have to find yourself kind of being a bit of a mediator today. It's going to require a lot of strength, a lot of patience, and a lot of resilience on your part. So be sure to be there, in that place where you're strong, calm, confident, assertive, and resilient. Also, thank you so much for joining me today. Just remember, I love you all. I want you to take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up, and as always, shine on.